And welcome back to another podcast with Mr. Hagan. On this podcast, we're going to continue looking at the short-run aggregate supply, aggregate demand model. And so we're just going to run through another example. So let's just go right to it. Real-world event, we're going to say my real-world event is the Mexican peso. The Mexican peso depreciates against the dollar, against the dollar. Now let's remember what the word depreciate means. Depreciate means that the price of the peso went down. The price that you pay to buy a peso went down. The Mexican peso depreciates. Now the thing you got to be careful of here is we want to do our analysis over here of the United States. We're going to do our analysis on the United States economy. So this is going to be the price level in the United States. This is the gross domestic product in the United States, and we're at some equilibrium price level, some equilibrium GDP in the United States, and now we get this change in the Mexican peso. The Mexican peso depreciates. Now, if the Mexican peso depreciates, that means the price of the peso went down against the dollar. That means the opposite must be true, and that is the dollar increased against the peso. The price of a dollar increased against pesos. So if a peso depreciates against the dollar, then the dollar must have appreciated against the peso. So you got to be really careful of keeping that straight. So my determinant here for the United States economy, my determinant is going to be a change in net exports, exchange rates, and that's going to be the dollar appreciated. This because we are looking at the United States economy, so we care about what happened to the dollar appreciated. So the Mexican peso depreciates. That's my real world event. The result of that is the US dollar must appreciate against the Mexican peso, and that means that dollars became more expensive. And so as a result of that, Mexican citizens will buy fewer dollars. And if they buy fewer dollars, then that means that they will buy fewer American goods and services. So that means that exports are going to go down, which will cause net exports to go down. All of that means that the aggregate demand curve is going to shift into the left. So the aggregate demand curve is going to shift into the left to 82. Now, let's talk about the stories over here. And I just want to move this up here a little bit. Let's talk about our stories. My aggregate demand story is going to be the price of the peso went down in world markets, and that causes the price of the dollar to increase in world markets. That's the dollar appreciated right here. And so if dollars are more expensive, that's going to mean that Mexican citizens will buy fewer dollars, and therefore they'll buy fewer American goods. So American exports will fall, and if American exports fall, that means that our net exports will fall. So really what this just means is that Mexican citizens buy fewer of our goods. They buy fewer American goods, and that means that the price of American goods are going to get bid down. The price of American goods are going to get bid down because people aren't demanding as much of them as before, because foreign people aren't buying as many American goods as before. So the price in the United States, prices are going to begin to fall. Now, that leads us to the aggregate supply story down here, which is going to be sticky wages. It's going to be sticky wages. And remember, what's important about that, sorry, that's sticky wages right there. Sticky wages. And so remember, the real wage is equal to the nominal wage divided by the price level. And because the peso fell in world markets, the dollar became more expensive, therefore American exports went down, therefore American net exports went down. Mexicans are buying fewer, Mexican citizens buy fewer American goods, so that means prices in America are going to get bid down. And if prices get bid down and nominal wages are sticky, they do not change, then that means real wages are going to rise. Okay, so if prices go down, if you get a decrease in the price level, then that's going to cause real wages to go up. And if real wages go up, if real wages rise, companies are going to hire fewer workers and production's going to go down. And there it is, right here, moving along the short-run aggregate supply curve. Prices are going to get bid down. As prices get bid down, that's going to cause real wages to rise. That's going to cause gross domestic product to fall. And so here's that decrease in the gross domestic product, right? So we got a decrease in spending in the form of net exports. We got a decrease in production in response to the higher real wages, in response to lower prices, and we moved along the short-run aggregate supply curve. So notice this, the graph. The graph here, once you shift that aggregate demand curve to the left, everything is going to look the same anytime you get a leftward shift in the aggregate demand curve. Anytime you get a leftward shift in the aggregate demand curve, you're going to move along the aggregate supply curve, and you're going to get this same story down here for the aggregate supply side. Let's finish this up. Final answer. Prices in the United States are going to go down. Gross domestic product in the United States is going to go down. And unemployment is going to rise. All right, this has been Mr. Hagan on another podcast. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you on the next podcast.